Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Build It Talk. This is a place where we invite founders across the globe to discuss about their startup journey so that anyone who is in the middle of their startup journey can get learned and inspired from it. In today's episode, I am sitting with my guest Harsha, who is the co-founder and the COO of Slashy AI, a Y Combinator backed company, also backed by Paul Graham himself, who is taking productivity to the next level with the help of AI. In this episode, we have discussed things like how to build first version of your products, how to find your founding team, and all the questions that every early stage founders have in their mind. We have discussed all of them here. So if you are someone who are thinking to starting a startup or somewhere in the middle of your startup journey, this podcast is something that you should definitely listen to. So let's dive into it.
Sure. So, hey Harsha, super excited to have you on our podcast. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Yeah, uh, kind of just woke up today, but overall been good.
And amazing, amazing. So, before we dive into this podcast, what about audience who are listening you to the very first time? Could you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Harsha. I'm co-founder of Slashy. Slashy is a general AI agent that takes care of all your work for you. It does this by connecting to your apps like Gmail, Notion, Slack, Airtable, etc., performing actions automatically for you. A good example of it that we see a lot of people use us for is if you have a bunch of sales meetings and like in a day, you just go and have Slashy research them. It goes through all your emails and the communications with them, looks on the web, scrapes their LinkedIn, etc., and this gets all that information together in a nicely formatted email and sends it to you in the morning to prep you for your meetings for the day. And yeah, we're currently in the Y Combinator batch for the summer.
Amazing, amazing. So, yeah, it's I actually before come to this podcast, I was just using the Slashy, and I just found that as a founder, how Slashy actually done my work too much in automated way. I just found that if I just wanted to schedule a meeting, so I just have to give a prompt to the Slashy, and they will just did my thing, arrange my meeting, and this is super cool idea actually. I just saw that.
Yeah, thanks so much. Yeah, I think it's definitely a very great product. A little bit biased, of course, but
Great, great. So before we too much dive into the Slashy part, the AI angle of it, you are someone who came from India. So please tell us about where you did your schoolings and how your childhood days looks like.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, actually, I grew up in Wisconsin. So I I was born in Wisconsin. I spent my first 2 years. Then I moved back with my grandparents in Andhra. So my grandparents are from Tenali. And yeah, when I grew up in Andhra, I don't know how much of an accent I have now in terms of stuff, but back then my only language I spoke was Telugu. So when I came officially to the US back in like when I was 2 years old, I have a twin sister. Me and her would always talk to each other only in Telugu. We didn't know English well. And so we went to an American school. So America, before you go to like kindergarten, elementary school and stuff, we have like something called preschool and daycare. So like this is where you put your kids in when you're going to work as parents. We were like the only Indian kids really in a daycare. There's a few others maybe, but only ones who spoke Telugu. So because of that, the daycare was like these kids can't speak Telugu, and so we were forced to pretty much speak English. I think from then on for like a good chunk of my life, but outside of that, I would say like yeah, with schooling and stuff, growing up in Wisconsin was very different than I would say what you'd experience in even in India, San Francisco, etc., where there wasn't too much pressure academically. I had to do much. You kind of just went to school, you learned a little bit. Like my parents were really nice. Obviously, I would study a lot. I did a lot of math and stuff for fun after school, but in terms of the actual like schooling itself was a very low pressure environment, I'd say. Uh-huh.
Hmm, incredible. So I was listening about one of your podcasts, and where you have mentioned that in college you first of all start making a dating app, and
Mhm.
yeah, during that journey you actually meet with your co-founders. So what about that journey looks like in
Yeah,
Georgia Tech?
yeah. Yeah, yeah. So if you look at each of our co-founders, we each have a little bit of a different personality. So I'd say I'm compared to most of them. I'm a lot more of like a go-lucky person where there's a lot of stuff in my life that I think just fell in the right way, and I would never have been here without just getting a little bit lucky. So for my dating app itself, when I was at Georgia Tech, my freshman year, I made a little bit of a fun little dating app, and I had a bunch of people on campus sign up. And I made some post about it, whatever. Just did it for fun. Was never thinking about making a startup. So entering my junior year of college, that was actually my graduating year as well. Then someone reached out to me online. They're like, "Oh, I saw you did this. Would you want to do a startup with me?" And I was like, "Sure." I'm about to graduate anyways. Might as well try something. And that was a great time. I had a great time with my co-founders. I still talk to them to this day. We got a few thousand users, but the problem with startups is always that if you can't get people to love your product, it doesn't matter how many users you have. You need
Yep.
to have at least a few people who love your product. And only when you get those people can you know that your product is actually doing anything useful. And we just never got that. And so then we shut down the company, and then by then I only had like 2 or 3 months left in college, and I already had a return offer at Amazon, so I was like, yeah, let's like kind of relax. I don't know how many times we're gonna see my college friends again. But that point in time, I already knew Pranjali and Drew from like various events and stuff. But they reached out, they're like, yo, we have this idea. We're making something that's kind of similar to Lovable, and would you want to help market it for us? I was like, sure, why not? I mean, I have nothing better to do with my time. Like, it's senior year of college. I got no classes. All my friends were not graduating that year, so they had a lot more exams to study for, anyways. So I was like, sure. We had fun. I was able to get us like 10,000 users on the app, but unfortunately, they all churned because again, we ran into that same problem, which is Lovable was better, Bolt was better,
Yeah.
Vizio was better, and people just didn't love our product. They like would try our product, and we got good at getting them to use it, but there wasn't that inherent love that made them stay on the platform. And then we got to yeah, and then we went and we were like, while we were doing this, we also realized there's so much work we did that we could have been automated, but we just didn't have an easy way to do it. And that's what inspired Slashy, was just that we feel that a lot of people could save a lot of time if they had a general agent that helped them with work. And so with that, we were like, why don't we make it instead? Because there's no good one out there. And yeah, I guess that's a pretty long-winded description of our story, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, story is something that makes any product actually a product. As Steve Jobs say that you definitely have
Yeah.
to put some sort of storytelling in any product. And yeah, which
Yeah.
is good about it. So the moment when you and Pranjali got the idea to building Slashy, right? So the very
Yeah.
first thing that came will be on brain is that to validate that idea. So how you have validated those ideas?
So me, Panju, and Drew, when we came up with the idea, we locked ourselves in a room for 40 hours because we already were working on a different idea. At the time, we were like, okay, for us to switch to this idea, we need to really validate this really quickly. So what we did was we locked ourselves in this conference room, and we didn't leave until we finished coding out the idea. Once we finished coding out the idea, we sent it out to people and saw what they thought, and we were like, wow, this is actually really useful. And yeah, from there we're like, okay, if we see some love on this product here, that's more than what we have before with 10,000 users. And yeah, we might as well just go out full out on this. And yeah, from there, we haven't looked back.
So basically, in the conference room, you locked yourself and you have a good brainstorming sessions between us, and then you
Um,
actually figure out. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But when we locked ourselves out, we actually made the whole product in those 40 hours. We didn't just brainstorm. Um,
Oh, you build the whole product by like
yeah,
by using what particular tech that you have used in the 48 hours you build the entire product?
yeah. We use we use a normal like AI, like Claude, Cursor, and stuff, but we just made a good MVP. So it was like a
Uh,
hackathon level project. Like if you use the product then, I wouldn't say there would be much difference in the product now. It would just, but you'd feel the quality difference significantly.
like MVP part that you have built it during that time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, incredible, man. And yeah, I just read one of your LinkedIn posts where you have mentioned that you all three co-founders, they all are engineers. They all are from technical background, right?
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
like many people say that in any startup, you need a sales people, you need a marketing people, then you need a technical guy as well. So, like, how you guys are decided that who will do the marketing part, who will do the sales part, and who will handle the technical part?
Yeah. So I think it's a lot of just what we need that day and who we think is gonna be best suited for that time. So yeah, for like a lot of the marketing stuff, I've been doing a lot of it recently just because I had more experience with it in the past. For a lot of the sales stuff, we have Panjali doing it just because Panjali is the more well known of us three, and she's the
Yeah,
CEO, so it makes more sense for her to do that. But then for technical stuff, it's just we all do it as needed, and yeah,
incredible. Great, great. So you are someone, you have built a startup in Georgia Tech as well, and you are like you also get into the Y Combinator. So definitely, Georgia Tech have their own ecosystem. Y Combinator have their own ecosystem. So what differences that you have found in Georgia Tech and building a startup in Y Combinator?
yeah, I would say that there's a lot of differences and there's a lot of similarities. I think it's like in Y Combinator, you just have a lot of people with a lot more different backgrounds and a lot more verticalized stuff because you're seeing these people, a lot of them are more experienced and they've been in the workforce, so they know more specific niches to target. While at Georgia Tech, a lot of them are college students, and just as college students, we don't know that much about the world. Like, I don't know what problems exist in the insurance industry because I just haven't worked in the insurance industry.
Yeah.
So a lot of people's problems and the stuff they're solving come back to these normal college student problems of stuff like dating apps, schedule organization, um, yeah, and like maybe like a social media app or something. Like these are the things that college student startups typically have because they're what we know. For Y Combinator, you get a lot more of these diverse ones. One, because Y Combinator just picks diverse applicants, and two, because you just have older people who are part of the program. And then the other thing is just the work hours. I'll say for Georgia Tech, most startups don't work more than 40 to 50 hours because you also have school. At Y Combinator, because it's your job, most people are working 100 to 100 hours or so a week.
Hmm. Yeah, that's the biggest difference. And
Yeah.
another part is the ecosystem part as well. I mean, the startup that are into the Y Combinator, they are definitely raise some sort of funding and mature kind of stuff as compared to Georgia Tech,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. So what are the most interesting startup founder that you have made in Y Combinator and Georgia Tech?
Mm, yeah. Yeah, the most interesting startup founder I've met in Georgia Tech and Y Combinator. Ooh, okay. I would say one of the most interesting has to be Has from Pali. He has one of the crazier backgrounds I know for sure. And yeah, I would say him. Or like I'd say Royce is my friend. He's from Georgia Tech and he also is in Y Combinator right now with his startup Pleom. I'll say he's also a very interesting story. So yeah, Royce is right now he is 19 years old and he already graduated his master's from Georgia Tech.
Oh
Um,
wow.
and yeah, and he's done a lot of really crazy stuff in terms of his time. Really smart kid. He already actually worked at a he actually previously worked at a YC company,
Mm-hmm.
and he was so good at his job they offered him to be a co-founder within 2 months, even though he came a year or two after the company was done started. And then on top of that, like Georgia Tech has this invention thing called Inventure. He came second place in it, and he didn't even like work on it for more than like maybe 50 hours of his life, and he still was second place as like the second best invention for the year at Georgia Tech. And he also turned down like some really high paying trading jobs just to do his startup. So and he does this all by himself. He doesn't work with any other co-founders or anything. He does it completely solo. So I'd say definitely one of the more impressive people out there.
Amazing, amazing. You are someone who actually handling the operation part as a CEO of Slashy, right? So how's your
Yeah.
day looks like? Like how was the day of a CEO of a Slashy looks like? How you handle your
Mhm.
task and how you use Slashy to handle your own
Yeah.
workflow.
Yeah, yeah. So I would say a lot of my work is, unfortunately, right now, a lot of my work is still coding. I think we're almost done with we just had a bunch of stuff we shipped, and I think we're getting done with those shipping, and I'm gonna get back to some more operation stuff. But like what I do, is most of my work is just done through Slashy. Like I do my best to not use anything other than Slashy for work. So like right now today, I'm gonna go and send emails to some of our customers who subscribe and some on trials. What I do is I upload a spreadsheet of them to Slashy, then I talk to Slashy about them. I'm like, tell me some information on them, make some emails, etc. Then I tell Slashy to send the emails for me. When I'm meeting with people, I'd be like, Slashy, tell me what's the information on them. And Slashy will tell me how it goes. But then, yeah, for operations outside of those things, it's a lot of it is just random. It's not like coding where you kind of you know what you're going to do for coding because you have these sprints and you have these features you want to get. Operations is a lot more of talking to people and managing stuff on a daily basis to keep stuff stable. But managing stuff on a daily basis to keep stuff stable is a lot of more random things because you have no idea what the stability part's going to be in terms of things. Like marketing is a little bit more formulaic. Like we know what launch videos you're going to do, we know who to post, what to make, etc. But the pure operations side of stuff, I think, in my opinion, and also maybe because I haven't been in this role for too long, maybe I'm wrong on that, is a lot of just playing it by the year and seeing how each day goes. Because the beauty of a startup is that no day is the same.
Yeah, absolutely. Like there's no any Sunday, Saturday in a startup. Always work, work,
Yeah,
work.
yeah,
Yeah, incredible. So as you know that, Harsha, the Builder Talk is something for the early stage founders. Had we discussed about the early stage startups, founders, problems and all. So now the thing is, you are someone from the technical background. As a tech founder, the biggest problem that we all have lacking is that to market the product. Like we all know how to build product, we know how to code things, but marketing
yeah,
is something that where all the tech founder is lacking. So if you are someone who just like started to any other company, right, and you know the tech part, so how you will approach the operations part about the distribution part? What's your perspective on that?
yeah. So, yeah, distribution part I think is a hard one. It depends a lot on the space what you're going into. So, if you're in a space in a high trust environment, I think distribution is all about just getting attention and getting them on meetings. So if you're like a vertical agent, it's like if you say you're a vertical agent to help hospitals fill out documentation, if you get a hospital on a meeting, they're probably going to buy it
Yeah,
because like most of those stuff work, they know what it's going. On the other side, if you're in a space in a low trust environment, so someone who's like a Cluely or like a us, where there's a lot of these like AI meeting note takers, there's a lot of general agents that just don't work. I think marketing has to be a little bit different. So now you could go and just be like, I trust that anyone who gets on a meeting is going to buy the product. But I don't. I think that it's better is to go and show use cases of your product and get people on call with real demos of your product because this is a space where everyone just assumes your product won't work because no one else's works. They're gonna just leave and churn off your product if you don't get something that works well. So that's why for all our demos we only show real slashy demos, not any hype, no like fake stuff. We try to keep it very realistic to show that this is all just real functionality in our app. There's nothing we're lying about. There's no features in like getting prepped out or something like that because we've just learned from people that people don't trust AI general agents anymore because most of them lie.
yeah, absolutely. And what about the technical aspect of this? I mean, you guys are using some open source models like Llama and all, and you basically train your own data. Like, what's the technology behind this, Slashy?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So we actually use Claude and Grok, is what we use. We don't train our model because we don't use our users' data for anything. But what we do is that we have our own infrastructure and architecture around agents. So kind of how Manus has their own architecture, we have our own. So the reason for that is because we don't own our own model, so we need to own at least the architecture around it to give us about. And the way we do that is we design our own tools in a very thoughtful manner that people don't do. We also have our own tool routing system because if we gave the agent like 100 apps, if you think about it, like a good benchmark if AI can do it is can a human do it? And like even the smartest human, if you gave them 1,000 tools, like 1,000 actions, wouldn't be able to know which action to choose. So even for an AI, it's the same thing. So we have some intelligent routing for it to be able to know, to give it like only 10 to 20 actions to choose from, which is a lot more reasonable for an AI to pick from. Um, and then on top of that as well, we have semantic search, so we can search across your apps. And so it's like, well, like we're a normal one, like a web browser agent, I'd have to go to Gmail, like look up stuff. It's like not that efficient. For this, it can just go and be like, find me emails about sales and just finds all your sales emails. That's not something you can do in a Gmail even. So having that semantic search layer is very useful in terms of things. And yeah, and then we also have memory as well, which is for some reason not something that a lot of our competitors have, but I think is very useful and it's not that hard to set up. Yeah.
Yeah, incredible. But one thing na, that I really love about Slashy is about their memory part. Actually, they understand the context. If I just told them is that let's have a book a meeting with me to my team about discussing about the product management part, they actually find out each team, free slot, and on the basis of that, they will book the time. So how you manage those things? I mean, like what kind of memories that you're using behind it? They understand actually context of it.
Yeah, I think there's like some things where it's like we trust the agent to get it figured out, but if it doesn't get figured out, we hope the user prompts it better in the future. That's what I would say for that, because this is just like some stuff that if you overfit for specific use cases, the overall model will get worse in terms of things because the model is still like a human. We can only remember so many things. So the more we force it to remember, the more it's gonna forget as well.
Hmm. Interesting, interesting. So, for example, just an early stage founder who just started to come up with a startup journey, right? The very first question that they have is that how to come up with the idea. So, what's your framework for getting the idea? How they find actually idea they actually make money?
Yeah. Let's see. What's hmm. So I can repeat that.
Yeah, the question is that in today's world where we saw that there are so many startups are coming,
Yeah.
right? And people have great idea, but lots of people don't have the idea. They always ask the question is that how to come up with a great idea. For example, you're building Slash. Definitely Slashy before a product. Slashy is an
Mm,
idea came in your mind and then you will start building it. So
yeah.
how people will get the idea of building a product? What's your framework to figure out the idea part?
Yeah. Yeah, I think the framework is just you pick one idea and just go full in on it, and you'll find a better idea as you build that idea out. Um, is the best way to do it
Okay.
because the way it works usually is that if you think of an idea without doing any work, anyone can do that, right? Because no one else, everyone else like can think about ideas without doing work. But if you're working on a product and you find a problem while working on that product, that's a lot harder for anyone else to do. Because then for anyone to find that problem, they need to have worked on this idea for a few months. So it almost your idea becomes a lot more unique and nuanced if you just work on a different idea, counterintuitively.
Yeah, but many people also claim that I can't talk about this idea. Somebody else will copy this idea. But yeah, actual thing is that if you actually start working on it, no, then you actually understand the problem at part, which is something
Yeah,
that your competitors will not steal from you. Interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, when I say competitors, the thing is that you are building something into the AI space. And we saw that in today's era, what happened is now every single night, someone big giant, like sometimes OpenAI, sometimes Google, they launch a particular feature, and due to that, entire SaaS got killed. So, do you also scared of this particular feeling?
Mm, no. Um, just because they haven't, it's never happened in history. Once you get famous for one thing, it's hard to get famous for another thing. Um, like Google has 100 products that they do well, right? But like
Yeah.
we only remember Google for like Google search and Google ads maybe. And then
Hmm.
yeah, like YouTube is there, but we don't remember YouTube as Google. We remember YouTube as YouTube.
Hmm.
Uh,
Completely agree. Yeah.
and YouTube was an acquisition by Google. It's like
Mhm.
the same thing with these big players. Like, is ChatGPT OpenAI can announce a new product that's not called ChatGPT? Probably not, right? They don't want to make a new brand. But if they don't make a new brand, people aren't going to view ChatGPT as this kind of agent. Like ChatGPT right now already has workflows that you can schedule, but no one uses them because you don't view ChatGPT as that kind of platform. And so because of that, it's one that's already hard for them to get new users that way. And then the second part is just that they don't execute as fast. Like in history, the big players never beat out the small players when a new technology comes, just because new people can always execute faster and they design the whole system around a new technology. Like
Hmm.
OpenAI will just have code that just doesn't work with agentic frameworks and they need to like go and fix that. But they can't just like remove their code because then it shuts down the platform in terms of things. So I'd say those are the two main reasons.
Incredible. As a founder, the biggest issue is that the networking part. You have to network with sometimes a great founder, sometimes with investors. So how you guys are actually do the networking in your initial days? Right now you're in Y Combinator, definitely you have a great sort of networks
Yeah.
all around the globe. But when you just started Slashy before going to the Y Combinator, how you actually
Yeah.
do the networking?
Yeah. Yeah, so for us, yeah, I don't do much networking, but it's just like I go to events, I meet people, and I try to be as helpful as possible. I think just by doing that, you're gonna make friends and you're gonna have a good network in terms of stuff. Because if you just put yourself in places with great people and you try to be as helpful as possible, you're gonna have people who help you out as well.
So, like, do you go to event or hackathon for the networking part, or somebody somewhere else?
I just somehow like I just have like you just meet people going to random events. Like someone will be hosting like a poker night, someone will host a party. You just meet people, which is the benefit of SF is that it's, everyone's like a founder. If you're in the founder bubble, so it's hard not to meet people who are, who are nice to meet and to do stuff.
And what's the best part about San Francisco that you like most
Mhm.
in terms of startup?
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. I think the best part is yeah for this just like the amount of startup people in SF is just so nice. It's a very small community of people, but it's a very big one in terms of founders, and it just allows you to grow so much faster.
Absolutely. And another thing that I've noticed is that you guys, your LinkedIn post, like the LinkedIn post that you all guys are right on the Slashy LinkedIn, they got crazy amount of viral. So what's the hack behind it? How those posts goes viral on LinkedIn?
Yeah, I mean, I think it just we just tried out a bunch of formats, and then this was the one that worked, and so we just keep doing it for stuff. I would say there's nothing, no crazy secret. It's just tried out a bunch of formats to figure out what works for your audience in terms of things, and that's like any content creator will tell you. It's just it takes a lot of practice and a lot of chance to figure out. Yeah,
So you guys use AI for writing the post or you write your own? Uh,
we write our own post. We write our own post, but we use Slashy to generate them, and then yeah.
Great, great. So how many team members that you have right now in your startup?
Yeah, right now we have five.
So you, Pranjali, Dhruv, and two interns, or they all are the partner as
Yeah.
well?
One intern and one growth person. Yeah.
And what those guys are actually do?
One of them, he does videos for us and he makes a lot of the content for us. And then another does a lot of design for us.
Great, great. So when we build any sort of product, the biggest challenges that we actually face is that deadline chasing. We choose a particular date, we have to launch this feature, and then start working on it. But sometimes, team productivity goes loose down. You can't be able to achieve that part. So how you guys are actually face this part and how you actually launch that particular feature on a particular thing when you have committed. So what's your framework for that part?
Yeah, we just make stuff that users want, and then we decide later, like after we make the feature and we see feedback, if people like it, then we make a launch video. We actually never launch a feature that only existed for that day. We always make launch videos after we have the feature in the platform for a few days. So
And great, great. So before building the slashy part, how many startups that you've tried for building?
I'd say maybe like three or four, but only one that I really seriously did.
The dating part, the dating startup, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
And like, does all of those startups goes user or just only dating startup goes users?
I think all of them had some users in some degree. Yeah.
And in which niches that they all are in?
Uh, I would say mostly like just like one was just like a game app, one dating app, one was like a flashcard thing. So like random niches, but all like consumer niches for sure. Yeah, I
So
very much like
B2C based,
consumer.
is it a B2B, B2C based SaaS, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think I'm definitely more of a B2C person compared to a B2B SaaS type person.
Great, great. And what about your programming journey? I mean, when you were started learning coding,
Mhm.
at what age you started learning coding?
Yeah, I started learning when I was like 12 or 13 because I sent out a news article to get published in my local newspaper and they didn't want to publish it. So I decided to make my own news channel. And to
Oh,
make my own news channel, I needed to make my own news website. So I learned the code and then I actually got my own Apple News channel as well, which was fun. And yeah, that's how I learned the code was running my own news channel for a little bit.
incredible. So have you built that completely?
Yeah, yeah. I built it out completely, but I took it down after a while because I had the foresight to realize that what I wrote at 13 years old would probably not look very favorably for me in the future. So I took it down after a little bit because, yeah, I think definitely don't want my writing to still be up there on the internet nowadays. But it
And
was a
and
good experience.
Great, great. And is it like in HTML, CSS, and JS, or some other languages that you've used?
Yeah, yeah, that was just pure HTML, CSS, and JavaScript.
Great, great, man. So, like, you need a newspaper article, you just thought that let's build it my own.
Yeah, I mean, because like no one wanted to publish what a high schooler wrote, so there wasn't many other options in terms of stuff back then.
And what kind of kid that you was in your high school? Is it a builder mindset that you have right now in your high school days or
Um,
not?
I don't know. Like in my high school, I would say no one it wasn't like a very it wasn't like a lot of these like big city, big wealth high schools. I would say we were like much more normal high school. So I was a very much like viewed as maybe someone who's a little bit more academically inclined, but I didn't like tell much about people who I built or anything like that. So I don't think anyone knew about it. They were just like, oh, there's this kid who's pretty good in classes, does some sports, and yeah, is a little bit maybe on the nerdier side, but I wouldn't say anyone was like this guy builds a lot of stuff on the side because I mean I didn't tell anyone, so it wasn't a very well known thing either.
Incredible, incredible. Yeah, that's really amazing for that part. Yeah.
Yeah,
The another part is that distribution channel. I mean, what about the distribution channel of Slash? Is it only LinkedIn, or you all guys are using Reddit, Discord, Twitter, and all for the
yeah,
distribution?
we use LinkedIn and Twitter right now, but we just make posts. We need to at some point figure out real distribution, but we haven't done that yet. For now, it's just post from our own account.
Great. So it's kind of a founder-led content that you all guys are using.
Yeah, right now it's just founder led. Yeah,
Yeah, founder-led content. So you all are in Y Combinator. So how was your journey? I mean, how you get into it, and what are the some key lessons that you've learned in Y Combinator?
yeah. I said to get into Y Combinator, all we did was yeah, we just got a lot of traction, so it was hard for them to say no in terms of stuff. And then they liked the team for how it's been like. It's been one of the most, I would say, rewarding times of my life, but also one of the most difficult times in terms of the amount of work I've been putting in. But I think that's been good.
And what are the key lessons that you've learned there from Paul Graham and so many startup founders there?
Yeah, yeah. I'd say the biggest lesson is just startups don't die because they run out of money or they fail. It's because they give up with stuff. And
Hmm.
so as long as you have a persistence about you, you're gonna make it in some sense. Yeah.
Absolutely. So have you met with Paul Graham?
Yeah, yeah. Paul Graham actually invested in us as well. So
Incredible, incredible. So they invested in the US as well. It's really amazing.
mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
So what if somebody want to start a startup? You maybe they are hearing you from India, from Dubai, or from any other country. So, what key lessons that you want to give it to them? That these
Mhm.
are the some key part that you should keep in mind before starting a startup.
Yeah. Um, we'll see what lessons, but I say people should keep in mind. I think the biggest lesson is just that only if you hate a job should you go full in on a startup. Um, because otherwise a startup's really hard. Like right now, like I'm probably gonna make less money than if I had worked a job still, and I'm probably in the top 5 to 10% of startup aspects. And yeah, I mean, you just make so much more money at a job. You work so many less hours that it almost makes no sense ever to not just work a job in terms of things. And you just have to be a little bit crazy to not. So I would say that's my biggest thing is always to try working a job and then only do a startup if you absolutely hate working a job.
Yeah, ultimately, and job is also not a big. The thing is that you came from the India, and we all know that Indian parents are too much care about your
Mhm.
security, job security. So I'm damn sure that when you're starting your own startup, definitely they have some sort of conflict happen between you and your family that you already have a job in Amazon, right? AWS,
Yeah.
and you left that and then start Slashy. So
Mhm.
how you convince your parents that no, I just want to build this thing?
Mhm. Yeah. Um, I'd say that just like I just like did not. I just worked. I had an internship at Amazon. I worked like 10 hours a week, and I still didn't. I still hated it so much. And I was just like at that point, I was just like, it just didn't make sense to go work full time because yeah, like it's like it won't get easy. It's like it doesn't get easier than that with the amount of money you're making. And it's like if you can't even like go through that just to make the money, it's like yeah, like I don't know what else can you do at that point in time. It's just Yeah. So that's pretty much it. And why I did it was just I didn't have any other option. I would say, and my parents are really supportive. I mean, I'm also graduated a year early, which helps. So they're like, we have some time. And I mean, if I start working at 23, if I start working at 20, it's not going to make too much of a difference because I think they believe in me and I believe in myself, and I'm not worried that I won't get a job in the future because I think that,
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, that's definitely that makes sense, totally sense. Yeah, I mean the thing is that you basically show your proof of work to your parents, and they actually saw that, and they will get confidence with that. Yeah, okay, this guy built this thing, then they will do anything else. You mentioned that at Amazon you actually work 10 to 20 hours a day. I mean, kind of 10 per week, right?
Yeah.
So, how many hours that you work now in Slashing?
On a given day, maybe 15. So, yeah, definitely a lot more. But I would say I want to bring it down to 12. But right now I work like 15 hours a day.
15 hours a day.
Mhm.
That's
But
huge.
it's not
And
good though. It's not long term sustainable. So I want to bring it
absolutely.
down to 12.
So, like, what your perspective on work-life balance? I mean, the people are saying this.
Mhm. Yeah. So yeah. For work life balance, I think it just depends. Like I think the irony of it is the less work life balance you have in a startup, the more happy you are. Uh, because when you don't know what to do and you have free time to do stuff, then your company is probably not doing too good.
Hmm.
So that's why I think work life balance is this weird thing for startups. But yeah, I would say definitely if you have other life concerns, it's good to do them. For me, it's just I just don't know what I'd do outside of it right now. I just yeah, there's nothing else I'd rather do with my time is my problem.
Great. And actually, what's the source of information? I mean, you have a, so much idea about the startups, products,
Hmm?
AI. So, do you listen a particular podcast on a daily basis, or you read books? What it is?
Just from my experience, and I like to yap. Is what I'd say. I don't actually read books, podcast on startups that much. Yeah,
So, actually, work is something that gives you the information.
yeah. Just working and meeting people. I'd say, like first hand information, not much second hand stuff.
Right? And you too much close working with Pranjali, right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
we just wanted to know that how is the Pranjali looks like. I mean, how's their mindset is, and as a CEO, how they actually guide you guys to building this, to achieving this kind of stuff. So
yeah.
yeah, how Pranjali is actually.
I think Patanjali is very ambitious, which helps a lot with the company because their goal is not, I mean, all of our goals really is not to just make another company, but to become the next Google, next Apple, next Facebook in terms of impact. And I think it's just like you need to have a certain type of mindset for that, which Panjali just really does well at the things. And it helps you need it. And so, yeah, she's just this very big vision thinker who's very ambitious and yeah, very believes in themselves a lot to the point of like it's hard to almost believe that we wouldn't win against these big players. So, yeah.
Hmm, amazing. I was just read one of your LinkedIn post, and where I just find that Slashy is
Mhm.
the top two YC based company. They have so many web traffic, around 112K
Yeah.
traffic that they have. So what's the secret behind it? How you guys are get those number of tractions within a very few amount of time?
Yeah. Yeah. I would say you just like have to keep posting and figure out what works and what doesn't work. You gotta treat social media like a science, not like a black box. So I think a
Yeah.
lot of people they post and they don't analyze how the post do, which leads to worse content over time.
So posting is something that gives you that level of virality and that level of tractions there.
Hmm. Yeah, I think
And
founder-led content is always really important.
yeah, founder-led content. Even I was thought about that part. For my
Yeah,
startup, I have to also do the same thing. Like founder-led content, it actually helps in so many startups and all. So recently, like yesterday or day before yesterday, you have also launched a feature to making automation workflow, like same like N10 and so many workflow automation tools. So why you actually enter into those market? I mean, they are already a big player presented their part as well. So what do you think about to let's enter into this part and let's disrupt this?
Yeah. I'd say the biggest thing is just we think we can beat them, and not many people use NLN. Like NLN is already a
Okay.
big market, but a lot of people don't use it because it's just too confusing for them. So we can just take those people as well. And I mean, the fact that they have a few $1 billion in market valuation means that there's a market that we can go and beat them out in if we just do better than them. So yeah, so competition's always a good sign because it shows there's enough money in there to be successful in terms of stuff, and it's not like a fake market. It's a real market with real money, and
Mhm.
then it's all about just being better than your competition. And yeah, and I
And
think we
for
can be better than them.
and for that feature, you will add something unique, or you will just make the same services that those tools are actually providing.
I mean, the thing is, we already automatically unique because we use English and not do drag and drop stuff, which allows for much more nuanced description. Because with drag and drop, every edge case you have to describe in detail, or it won't be able to understand well. For this, because you can use English and AI can reason more like a human, you can be a lot. It handles edge cases a lot better than you'd have with a workflow builder.
Awesome, awesome. So in today's day, when I just say search, so what come up your brain? Google. When I just say, for example, water, so Bisleri is something that came in our brain. When I just say smartphone, so Apple is came in our very first thing, right? So similarly,
Yeah.
after 5 years, 6 years, at which segment that anybody tells, so that slashy name should be came up to their brain.
hmm Yeah. I think we just want to be when people think work, we want them to think slashy is what we want to do in 10 years for stuff. So yeah, we want to become the AI for work. We want it to be how when people think for coding, they open up Chris and anything else. We want it to be
Hmm.
the exact same. Yeah.
Yeah. So anybody say just workforce, slashy is something that first thing that come my mind.
Yeah.
To meetings, to calls, to everything. And
Yeah.
recently, I also saw that you also guys are, I mean, providing the call features. So the call feature, when you are actually giving that, so is it any sort of privacy concern about people call number, on how secure that
Oh,
it is?
yeah. That one you can only call your own number. You don't call other people and stuff. So
Okay, okay, like for mine, no, that's amazing. That's amazing,
yeah, yeah,
incredible. So yeah, thank you so much for joining this session, Arsha. It was
Mhm.
definitely so much insightful session, and our audience will love so much about you. I'm so much glad that you actually come to this podcast, and our builders actually learn so many things from you. So
yeah.
before we close this setup, what is the one lesson that you wanted to give to our audience?
Yeah. Let's see the one lesson. I think the biggest thing is you just go out and do stuff. Don't think is the biggest thing to do. I think the number one way startups fail is that they overthink how to do work. Right? That's always bad
Start
because actions
executing.
are, yeah,
Execution is something the core. Okay, great.
yeah,
So yeah, execution is something that our builders should focus on, and they will definitely learn from you as well. So
yeah.
again, I repeat, thank you so much for joining the session. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, no problem. It was great talking to you as well, man.
Bye. Yeah.
Alright, so that's the wrap for our today's episode on Builder Talk. I hope you find this conversation with Harsha as valuable and inspiring as I did. We went through the journey of building Slashy, what it really takes to build a Y Combinator big startup, and trying to find the answers of all the questions that every early stage founder's mind has. Before you go, please don't forget to share your feedback with us because that really helps us to make this podcast to the next level. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you in the next one.